Get strong.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome back to the Amateur Otaku Podcast live stream that we do every single Sunday. Welcome, guys. We're ready. We're here.
Kai.
Ben Kai. We just finished covering Chainsaw Man episodes 2 and 3, and as you guys know, whenever we do Chainsaw Man, what do, Isaac? We also cover Bleach. Thousand Year Blood War. Bleach is back, baby. And I was listening to Isaac say those specific words for almost like 7 months or a year since they announced it, Isaac. But I gotta say, I am so excited that Bleach is back. And as someone that never had a chance to really watch the entire anime series, but I've seen a lot of it and understand the world and love it so much, and I do enjoy so much. I love being able to jump back into the world of Bleach and enjoy this show because it feels that it helps if you know what came before it, but the show is flowing in a way that you don't need to know what happened before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes it very seamless, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. But yeah, let's not waste time. Let's go right into Bleach: The Thousand Year Blood War, episodes 2 and 3. These are episode 2, Foundation Stones, and episode 3, March of the Star Cross. Now, Isaac, if people like to find us, they can click on the like button. They can click subscribe, click on the bell for notifications. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the episodes that we do every single Sunday and that you don't miss any coverage on Bleach, The Thousand Year Blood War. We do put the episodes individually every week when we do them, and there's also a playlist there for Chainsaw Man, My Hero, Spy Family, and Bleach. So, without further ado, let's go to Bleach. Isaac, episode 2, Foundation Stones. It picks up right where the first one left off, which was with the report of these agents of the people that call themselves the Waldenreich. And they are reporting to their master, which they haven't said his name. If you go to Google, you can find out his name. But if they haven't said it in the show, I'm not going to say it here because I can't pronounce it. So fair. That's fair, right?
Yeah, it's pretty German.
Yeah, it's says the Swedish man.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch, bitte?
No, I have not been bitten. So
It's do you speak German in German?
I don't in German.
I'm part German, so
I don't speak German and English either, so I don't. Now, I don't know about you, Isaac, but the blend, because I've seen the first 140 episodes of Bleach, so I've seen it from the very beginning, and I've seen how the animation evolved through the years. Like if we can talk about two shows that the animation evolves with the years, Bleach is one of them. Naruto is another one, right?
this is arguably Studio Pierrot at its finest.
And yes, and I think, and here's why I think that. I want to hear why you think that too, but here's why I think that. The reason why Studio Pierrot is doing such an amazing job is because they make the traditional Bleach art style feel new. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Because
I think so.
Because you know how sometimes when they modernize something, like for example, I'm going to give you an example. It might be a bad example, but it's an example nonetheless. Because it's two different types of animation together. But like when you watch Trigun and then you watch the trailer for the new Trigun remake, it's a modernized Trigun. You know it's Vash because you can see the color, you can see the hair, you can see the glasses, right? You know that's Vash the Stampede. You see the robot arm, like all the things are there, right? But it doesn't feel and it doesn't look like the original Trigun. Which again, when you're modernizing, it's never going to feel that way. But somehow, I watch this Bleach, I watch the Thousand Year Blood War and watch the animation, and it still feels like I'm watching the same show that came out almost 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it still have the essence. Like Ichigo looks like Ichigo. Ishida looks like Ishida. Sado looks like Sado. Like Orihime still looks like Orihime. Like all the characters feel. Hueco Mundo feels like Hueco Mundo. Karakura Town feels like that. Urahara. And like I noticed it the most with Urahara. Like, and he arrives in this episode in a particular scene, but you know how he always had like the little the spit curl pretty much in the center of his forehead, right?
Yeah.
In the past, he would do the same thing, and the animators would make it look like a straight sleeve of gold. In this one, you can see like the hairs that make the curl. Does that make sense? You can see all those attentions to detail, which again maybe they couldn't do before, but still the character models still feel like the character models that I've been seeing forever. And I feel right at home. And I don't know, man. I love that about this. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm enjoying it so much as well, because it doesn't feel like it's a different Bleach. Does that make sense?
It feels sort of like if let's argue that this arc have been it's sort of like a remaster kind of deal.
Yes. It feels like a remaster, in all the right ways. You know what I mean? Like they literally dialed up. They took the art and they dialed up the enhancements up to 11, because even the effects of the flames and all that stuff, you can tell that they're CG enhanced, but it's animated CG enhanced. It's not pure CG. And that's the other thing I love about it. Nothing here is pure CG. Everything feels animated.
Yeah,
Does it,
agreed.
right? And which I'm glad that they went that route, because you can tell that they were trying to conserve that that the feel that the original Bleach animation had, because it had its own style, it had its own feel. You know what I mean? It had its own groove to it. It feels, and I love the fact that you can come back home. And what better way to make this feel like you're coming back home with Bleach? But Isaac, can we talk about the opening? Because if anything felt like Bleach, buddy,
It's the opening.
bro, what did you think when you first saw the opening Scar for the new Bleach series? Because we never got it. I don't think we got to see it in the first episode, right?
We didn't get it in the first episode, no.
We got it for the first time here. Um, what were your thoughts when you saw it for the first time?
It's a perfect Bleach opening.
Yeah, and it did the thing where it didn't just give you like a bunch of things. It started with the word bleach.
Yeah.
Like it made it front and center. It was there, and I love the whole play with gray, black, and pink, and like a commentary to Blood War and all that stuff. So I really like all that a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, I don't know, man. I've enjoyed this show a lot, and a lot happens in the next two episodes. So Isaac, let's start talking about episode two. Um, and the last thing before we actually start talking about the episode is, did you notice the shot, the cinematography, and the first shot that we get on this first episode. Did you notice that the first shot of this episode is a reflection?
That I did not think of.
So, so the first shot of the episode is of this leader of the Waldenreich, right? But it's the reflection of the leader of the Waldenreich from the puddle of blood of that guy that got his arm ripped off on the previous episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro.
and and well, just a quick comment, sort of like that. Uh, I'm ashamed to say that, but I didn't really think about it when I first read it. But I have a friend that watches is an anime only and watches Bleach, and he said, "Is the Quincy's based on the Third Reich?" And I'm just, yeah, I think that it just screams the Third Reich with the Quincy's, especially this quote unquote general of sorts.
Well, that's the thing, though. I don't think. Well, you know more of this than I do, but I don't think you ever get that sense from the Quincy's until now, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean with the.
Yeah, like you like because as of before this arc, we know that supposedly Uryu is like the last of the Quincy's. There's no more Quincy's anywhere. We know that they were, or at least how they were presented, there were a group of people besides the Soul Society Soul Reapers that used to deal with hollows. But now we find out there's a bunch of group of Quincy's, and these Quincy's are like super,
Psychopaths.
yes, and they're super powerful, and they're on a rampage trying to destroy the Soul Society, destroy the world of the living, but also Hueco Mundo, which is like they're trying to take over everything, and I mean everything. Now, what I like about all this is not only are we getting characters from previous arcs back, I like how mature the main cast feels. Like this is not the same Ichigo that we met in the first season of Bleach. Let's start with that.
He still has his temper, but yes, he's certainly not the same as the first chapter slash pilot episode.
Yeah, he's smarter, he's strategic, he's patient. Like this is someone that's he's like the old hero, right? And I like the feeling of because these Arrancars came to ask for help when Nell and Pesha came back from Hueco Mundo because of what the Waldenreich is doing over there. I like the kind of nostalgic feel from Ichigo, like they keep pulling me back in. You know what I mean? Like you kind of get that sense of I can't just sit around and not do anything now that I know what's going on. And I like how the whole team goes, but I like the wedge that now is being drawn. Now, at this point, Ishida and Uryu and Ichigo don't know that like Ichigo suspects that there's a Quincy's, but nobody knows that the Quincy's are the ones doing this. But the fact that Uryu can't go help those hollows because he's a Quincy, I like that division that's being caused now, but I like how they've grown in their relationships where they understand why. So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out in the future and how that develops. Now, do you ever get tired of Urahara just showing up out of nowhere?
No,
Let me ask you this: was that you? Is that if you were to be one character in Bleach, are you Mr. Urahara?
I mean, I'm that person in general. So
I don't know. I find that hilarious.
Urahara is my favorite character in Bleach. Are you that surprised?
I am not. I am not. I'm actually not surprised that he's your favorite character. I am not surprised at all. Um, I like that he shows up and they all get together to go to Hueco Mundo to find out what's going on. But of course, all this is happening also in Soul Society, where I've never know how to say his name, so I'm not even gonna try. But the top researcher captain, the one that always looks like a weird cosplay in a
Oh,
in a Geiger conference. Um,
that guy who is kind of like a sociopath.
kind of, kind of. I don't think it. I don't think it's a kind of. Especially when we find out what he did in episode 3. But we're gonna get there
I
in a minute.
mean, not to mention what he has done to his assistants.
Yes.
For the sake. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
No comment.
Live experimentation. Oh, Kevorkian.
Majuri Kurotsuchi.
Okay.
That's the name. By the way.
I still hate him, but he reveals.
Hey.
I mean, I don't have to like him, do I?
No, I'm not saying that you have to like him. I'm just saying that I agree with you, and he's creepy as all hell.
Yes, a lot of hell. So he gives the report to all the captains, and he reveals that the villains are the Quincy's. And the head captain says that they have to get ready for war. But what I find interesting is the leader of the Waldenreich says that he's doing this for peace. So the first flag of megalomaniac evildoer is there. He's doing all this killing for peace. So all hail Ultron. But the whole thing about using everything that he's done is to work as a foundation stone. So what the Arrancar did, or Ebern did in that fight against Ichigo, it was literally all about keeping Ichigo entertained, right? So that he didn't know what was happening in the Soul Society. And then, at least that's the way it's kind of like explained, right? And then Luda.
I mean, Ichigo is kind of a beast.
Yes.
And
He's a special threat.
yeah.
He's a special threat. Now, it kind of, I do find interesting that they go out of their way to make sure to let them know, to let Ichigo know that the leader of the Waldenreich categorizes him as a special threat. So apparently they're talking about a direct connection between him and Ichigo, which I'm going to say this because I know enough of Bleach and I've seen enough videos, and we can talk about this without it being a spoiler, because it's not a spoiler because it's in the opening, damn it. But the leader of the Waldenreich looks very similar to Old Man Sangetsu, which is the spirit inside the, what do they call the swords? I forgot.
Ichigo's sword, yeah?
No, yeah, but what do they call the swords? The swords have a name. The weapons in Bleach. This is one of those important things. Damn it. Bleach. They have a name.
Sanpaku.
There you go. Sanpaku. Sanpaku, yes. He's the spirit inside of Ichigo Sanpaku. Old Man Sangetsu. But, I don't know. There's got to be something there. It's too obvious. It's too interesting. Interestingly enough, also, did you notice that the leader of the Waldenreich's cape looks the same as Ichigo's Bankai cape?
Yup.
Yeah. We're paying attention, guys. We're paying attention. Are you paying attention, damn it?
I mean, here's the problem for me, someone that has read the manga, and you have not, so it's just about, how should I
Do
put
not
phrase it?
say no comment because I'm not gonna do anything. So,
Okay.
but but the Quincy's are the enemy. We don't know why, but we found out that there's this captain called a Stern Ritter. I think he's called Stern Ritter J. Which again, what does that mean? Is that like a German term? You speak German. What's a Stern Ritter? What does that mean?
I don't speak German fluent, but I can tell you right now that, well, a lot of their terms and all that, yes, it's German. I don't know the origins of it.
Okay, so look. I found it. I found it. You ready?
Yeah.
So Stern Ritter means star knights, as in knights of the stars. Oh. So that is why. So there are okay. So according to the wiki, which I'm not going to go into it, but they're called Star Knights. Let's leave it at that. So they're a specific order in the Waldenreich, which again, I don't know, guys. The way they were, so when Ichigo and the friends get to Hueco Mundo to try and save Hueco Mundo from the Waldenreich, the first thing you see is that they're literally enslaving people, a la conservation camp kind of take. Like, there's no way that you're not meant to think that. Which,
Again,
yeah,
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 with all the German speak with
yeah.
the manners of the general and them lining them up like Jews in a camp, so to speak. I mean, yes, this is so Third Reich.
Do you now? How do you feel? Because you probably have a different relationship than I do, being that you live in Europe, right? Where because in the States we were affected by the war, but I know that we were never. I mean, first of all, I wasn't alive. We weren't alive when that was happening, right? But I know that I would assume that the way people in Europe view the Second World War is very different to the way the States look at it.
Yeah.
So reading this, knowing that you read the book, and the fact that Tite Kubo chose this type of villain as the final enemy, how do you feel or think about that?
I actually think it makes sense, considering the themes and relation. This, I would say, to some extent, the themes and relationships within Bleach. Yes, we don't know that much of the Bleach Quincy society prior to it, but their way of handling hollows in comparison is very
Yeah,
well. It has been very more direct, if I can put it like that.
yeah, and we're gonna get into that in episode 3 because I like how they're finding good pace moments for exposition as opposed to just doing a super long type of exposition. Does that make sense? I think they're being very smart in the way they're exposing the history and the realities, as opposed to having a whole episode of Ishida finding out. Which I think we can jump to the third episode, right? Because
Yeah.
because what the end of the second episode really literally like leaks into the third episode. When we get the explanation about the birth or the conflict between the Soul Society, and Quincy's, I find it interesting that Soul Society's whole job and objective is to maintain balance so that there's coexistence. right? Their
Yeah.
goal is to maintain balance so that the world of the living and the world of the Soul Society can live in harmony. When they defeat hollows, they return them into the cycle of life so they can return to the Soul Society as opposed to being destroyed. But when Quincy's, which by the way, Quincy's are human, which is the weirdest thing also, or a type of humanoid or whatever. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But when Quincy's destroy hollows, they destroy hollows. So that soul is eliminated from existence. But apparently, eliminating souls from existence destroys the balance that keep the world of living and the soul society alive and separate. So if the Quincy's destroy every single hollow, everybody dies except them, which is kind of crazy. So it's like, again, it's this, they're using all the different angles of that Third Reich mentality, of that Superman mentality, right? Of they are the superior ones. They are the only ones that can get peace. They're the ultimate solution, right? That's pretty much the vision of this Waldenreich. And I find it to be very interesting conversation. And I think it's being used very deliberately because the one thing that I like about Bleach and Ichigo's character in particular is that Ichigo has become, throughout the show of Bleach, he's become a bridge between all the different aspects and societies of the supernatural.
Yeah.
Because he's not only from the land of the living, he has a hollow portion, so he feels for the populace of Hueco Mundo. So he has a connection there, and he forms a bridge with them. He feels for those that have the ability to have hollow abilities, so he becomes friends with the visored, which were despised and thrown away and not allowed in the soul society until all that conflict resolves with the battle of Aizen and all that stuff, and one of them is now a captain in the soul society, right? So like it's, and then now you have these people that don't believe that that coexistence is necessary or should be, because even when they present themselves at the end of this episode, which again, March of the Star Cross is very like, if there was ever a Third Reich named episode, it's definitely this episode. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's like in your face. And at the end of this episode, when they arrive, when the March of the Star Cross occurs, and it's called March of the Star Cross because the Stern Ritters are the Star Knights, which is a special section of the Waldenreich, whose task is to purge, which, in other words, kill all the Soul Reapers.
Yeah.
So this is their march to destroy all the Reapers, which is like, holy crap. Oh, and by the way, when the hell did Bleach become so bloody?
It has always been that.
No, no, no. But what I mean is, like, well, here's the thing. If you remember with me, it has never been this bloody. And what I mean by that is, remember, because when Bleach originally came out, it came out on TV. So there wasn't really a lot of blood. It was pretty censored. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there was blood, but there wasn't like what we're seeing now, which is Attack on Titan level blood and murder. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe you have seen the censored one then, because I have. There is one in. They have. It has been the ones I've seen. Has it's like the manga has not been censored, and
Okay. It might be that because when I saw the leader of the Waldenreich blow two guys' heads off, and blood is just gushing out on the ground, I was like, holy crap. And then at the end of the episode, when the March of the Star Cross happens and the Stern Ritters arrive, and you have this one particular Stern Ritter that's just blowing off heads and there's blood everywhere, I'm like, this is
Also,
not my little boy's Bleach. Like,
and well, the manga is. I mean, it's not berserker level brutal, but it is brutal.
but can you understand what I'm saying? Like, this feels a lot more brutal than what I remember. And I'm not knocking it for it. I'm here for it. I like that the violence is justified because of what the story they're telling. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like gratuitous, but I do find it very surprising though. I don't know why, but I found it very surprising. But I like this conflict of ideology. Like, I like how the battle between the Soul Society and the Quincy's makes sense because the Soul Society decided to destroy all the Quincy's because the Quincy's didn't want to coexist.
Just a quick side note.
Yeah.
I just double checked it, and it came to the part that Taite Kubo even came out prior to the release and said that it won't be censored, and the time slot is midnight. So
Nice.
in
Nice.
Japan, that is.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is actually pretty awesome. I didn't know that. That's actually a very, very, very good observation, Isaac. Thank you for showing that. But I love the violence that's on it. I love the action. I like that the main debacle or debate makes sense because the Soul Society explains the problem to the Quincy's. The Quincy's don't want to listen. So the Soul Society, because they have to protect their existence, and Soul Society is also kind of protecting the world of the living as well. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to protect everything. So they make the hard call to destroy the Quincy's, but apparently they don't destroy their leader. Apparently, which we're going to find out in a little bit. But now the Quincy's come back and they're going to destroy everything because they believe that's the only way there can be peace because they're crazy. And they're Nazis. But it's horrible. It's horrible. But I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of obvious that they are not
Yes.
inspired. I know that we have. It's probably beaten to dead horse,
Yes.
although not
Yes.
as beaten to dead horse as me pointing out that Chainsaw Man is horny, but I digress.
So we've beaten the horse. The horse is dead. Now we're kicking the horse's hollow. That's how much we've kicked the horse. Was that a bad joke? Did I cross the line?
You're
Now,
asking me if you cross the
yes,
line for a joke. I'm not the one that.
yes.
I'm not allowed to even say yes or no on that regard.
So March of the Nazis. So I like the exposition. I think the direction on these episodes has been great. Not only with that first shot of the reflection in episode 2, right? I want you to go back to it and I want you to see it and just let me know what you think because I think it's just dramatic and powerful and just perfect. Like the direction on it's great. But also, I like the way they're using exposition. Like for example, in mangas, a lot of times what happens is that not every character learns about a truth at the same time. But I like that they actually made it so Ishida is finding out at the same moment. He's finding out the history of the Quincy's at the same moment as that Soul Reaper lieutenant is telling it to the two new characters that we met. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I like that type of symmetry. I like that mirroring. And I also like because I feel that it's kind of like their way of respecting me
Yeah,
as a viewer. Like they're respecting my time.
they don't. They don't. They just don't make a. Oh, did you remember that 20 seconds later kind of deal? Oh no, not the 20 seconds, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's like, buddy, you've told me like 5 times already. See, the one show that can get away with it is Chainsaw Man, because we all want to touch boobs. So, but Bleach, I mean,
Like
it's a live stream.
it's a good thing that Mike's in here because he would have a massive headache right now.
Yes, yes.
I
Now,
love you, Mike, but it's obvious who keep us two in check. That's for certain.
yes. Now, of course, the ending of the episode, the exposition between what's going on with the Soul Society and the Quincy's, that's not the main course of this episode. The main course of this episode is that Ichigo is fighting a Stern Ritter, codename Jay. His name is Ogi Opie, apparently, something like that. And apparently he knows the Super Saiyan Blue form. Apparently, because personally I didn't know. Apparently, there's this ability that Quincy's had that they can go Super Saiyan. I didn't know that was a thing, similar to a Bankai. But apparently he has a bigger one, so it makes it even more of an Ubermensch thing, because now he's a fanatic with wings, and like a sword, and he's meant to look like an angel. But again, this battle is great. I like the dialogue, the to and fro. I love how great, determined, and specific Ichigo's attacks are, and I do find it interesting that he seems to be struggling to fight this guy, but I like that he's kind of keeping Bankai in his back pocket. You know what I mean?
I
So
know what you mean.
So you know what I mean? Because sometimes like you have a battle and they go Super Saiyan. Okay, so where are we gonna go from here? If he's already Super Saiyan, what else am I gonna do? But I like that hasn't happened yet. Now, what do you think about this ability that the Quincy's have? I don't know if it's every. I don't know if it's gonna be every single Quincy, but at least I like how Ichigo, again, a great way of directing exposition. Ichigo is learning about the new abilities that Quincy's have while finding the Stern Ritter. So he's probably going to be the one to inform all the other guys in Soul Society what that ability looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I like that type of exposition and stuff like that. What are your thoughts about this guy? This guy is freaking fanatic, nuts, and crazy. and
He
apparently,
is
and apparently, they're all like this.
well, uh, not. We have beaten so many dead horses already, but
Yeah, we're at
he,
Hollows.
yeah, and he certainly with how he easily take everyone down. It's easy. He Taitakuba effectively shows how powerful the higher ups really is.
Yeah, he doesn't waste time either. So I applaud that. Actually, I applaud that a lot. The fact that we're able to see right away that these guys are a threat. They're not just a random villain or. I mean, I do find it interesting that again, we're kind of like it's like another. I do find it interesting that it's another Eisen situation, kind of, because you have like one big bad, and like he's
Um,
he has a bunch of lieutenants, like you know.
sure, but Eisen is much more. Is a class on its own.
No, no, and that's fine. What I'm saying is the same setup. Is what I'm saying, like the same format, but they're telling a different story altogether as well, though. Like Eisen, and again, Eisen was a villain for almost what the first, I don't know, like 250 episodes or more, kind of. Like he was like the big bad for a
He's
while.
he was the overarching bad guy for quite some time.
Yes, he was. Now, I like the design, but I'm very scared of that ability that these. I don't know if every Stern Ritter will have this ability, but I'm really concerned about that ability that Ogi has, that he's able to manipulate spiritual energy and he's able to steal it. Like the way he was literally stealing energy from Sato and breaking Otohima's shield, that worries me a lot. Like people are gonna get hurt. So I don't know, man. I kind of want to see. I hope it doesn't become like a My Hero Academia situation where we spend 5 episodes with Ichigo fighting this guy, and we kind of miss out with the Soul Society. I hope we keep getting like the hybrid storyline, right? Where we have the Soul Society storyline and the Ichigo going side by side, so we get a little bit of them every episode. Or do you prefer getting isolated episodes of each battlefield?
It all depends on the execution. I know that is a lazy answer, but it all depends on execution from in my book.
I think the reason I want the parallel approach is because they've actually done a great job so far of giving us that parallel stories where we see a little bit where we see the same story develop in two different areas simultaneously, and it feels and the pacing has been very good. I feel they should keep I hope they keep doing it that way because they're actually doing it right. Because you know how people try to tell two stories at the same time and it just doesn't work? Like Batman v
Yeah, I
Superman
know.
tried it like Batman v Superman tried to tell like 5 different stories and it couldn't get one of them right. Um
Mm.
I,
It's not horrible that movie, but yeah, it
well,
crammed way too many
right. And I
stories.
and I am going to say that the Ultimate Edition specifically
It's so much better.
is so much better, and I like it the much better because it justifies Lois Lane's storyline. That's why
Yeah,
I like it more than anything. But yeah, like Bleach is doing the right thing. They're showing multiple stories side by side. They all connect to each other. They're all balanced out, and they're both interesting. And I like that they're saving a lot of the classic Soul Society characters for further along in the series because we haven't seen Renji. Like we just saw Renji for the first time in this episode. We haven't heard him. We just saw Renji for the first time. We saw Rukia for the first time. We saw what's the name of the lieutenant for the ice guy?
oh, my memory
That one, the
slips
one
now.
that makes you say that every time you see her. Yes, that one.
Ha ha ha.
Hey, admit it. That was perfect.
I can give you that one.
But yeah, like a lot of these classic characters, we've seen them for the first time now. So I like how the opening teases them going into battles and we following them. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I think we have what? We have another 9 episodes in this core? Because I think it's just going to be 12,
I
right?
have no idea how long this course is gonna be,
I
but
think it
I
was.
assume it's.
I
But
think it
I
was.
assume it is.
Let me see. Let's do the research because I think that's important. I think they were talking about doing four um 4 12 episode cores. I think that's what it was. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it says Bleach Thousand Year Blood War will release over 4 cores,
Yeah,
but
that I
they're
know.
okay, but it's 52 episodes. So we don't know how many episodes per core. Got it. That's fair. But still, 4 cores means that we might get 12, we might get 13, we might get 14. I mean, how much is 52 divided by 5? Let's see. Brandon is so lazy, he uses a calculator.
Hey,
Well, that's 13 episodes a core, so it's actually pretty perfect, kind of. Or you can probably do it in a way where you got like 16 on one, 14 on the other. I'm pretty confident that the last core is probably going to be the shortest one. But
Probably.
yeah, that just makes the most sense. Um, but yeah, man, I'm scared of this guy. The way that he was able to absorb Reiki from everything, even that monster that. Okay, can we talk about the fact how the three bestias, which by the way, swimsuit models, um, can we talk about Orihime? Is she standing out a lot more now than in.
What do you mean?
I just hope Denji doesn't see her. So, um, I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today, but it's
Mike doesn't keep us two in check, that's why.
yes, and boobs. So it's a theme of the episode. It's a theme of the episode, guys. For some reason.
Did you see one of the elite soldiers?
Well, the one that they stole from Hueco Mundo. Is that what you mean?
And I was thinking
Oh, you're
about.
talking about the Stern Ritters? No.
Yeah.
Wow, you're paying
I'm
attention.
talking about no. I was talking about the elite soldier, one of the elite soldiers that created the monster.
Yeah. Yes. One of the three bestias.
Yes.
By the way, I always appreciated that all the Arrancars and stuff like that are all in Spanish. I found that so interesting. Espadas, gargantas, hueco mundo, Aizen sama. But yeah, I what was I talking about? No, that was wrong. Not boobs. But no, I find it interesting the power that guy has to absorb the Reiki from everybody, but then combining it into his body. He's going to be a very interesting match. I wonder if he's going to be able to suck power from Ichigo because he hasn't done anything of that kind yet. He's just sucking everything around him. But I don't know. It's an interesting battle. The action's still great. Everything feels like Bleach. I really enjoyed this episode, and I love the cliffhanger of this one. And I like how they do a lot of, like Bleach always does, and great animes always do. I love how they do a lot of visual storytelling because you know for a fact that you're meant to understand that the last Stern Ritter that you see that says that we're here to purge you all, I got a feeling he's the strongest of them. So I like that kind of storytelling where they show they show them in order, like probably the different type of battles that we're gonna see, but they also kind of show you in order of strength. And of course, it was all the different Stern Ritters that we saw in the opening. So at some point, we got to analyze the opening to see who we see fighting with each Stern Ritter, because that's probably going to be the fight that we're going to see later on. So don't you love openings and how they prepare you for what's coming with a very nice song?
I sure do.
Yeah. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, Bleach. Do you have anything else on these two episodes that you want to talk about that you felt excited?
Outside of I continuously loving the show, no.
Such a great show. What a great comeback. Can we talk about, again, Viz Media is firing on all freaking cylinders. The creativity, the attention to detail. Have you noticed how special and interesting the previews are?
No, I don't watch the previews. I'm not.
Well, that's the thing. They don't do previews.
Okay.
So what they do is right after the credits, well, right before the credits, actually. Is it right before? No, I think it's right after the credits, I think. They present like a haiku, which is like a piece of poetry. So they show a manga panel section, and they show like poetry haiku in a white sheet. and then they show in big bold letters the number of the episode.
And I haven't seen that one yet because
It's yeah, and they do it after every single episode, and I find it so brilliant, so unique, so artistic. Like we were talking before, like when we first talked about Bleach, I mentioned a lot how one of the things that you have to that's undeniable about Bleach is that Bleach is all style. Like style was a very important thing for that show, to that show, in terms of the show's identity, especially in the music and the build and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
style is a big thing, especially when you see the Soul Society lieutenants and captains. Like they're very stylized and very particular. The way they look, the way they move, the way they act. You know what I mean?
For
Especially
certain.
especially when you see them all dressed the same, but they all have very distinct qualities, right? But this show has all that and more, and I'm just happy to have Bleach back. So I'm excited and can't wait to cover it again. Isaac, anything else you want to add?
Bring more Bleach, baby.
Detergent. So, guys, that is the show. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Amateur Otaku Podcast live stream. We love spending time with you guys every single Sunday, talking about anime that we love, that we all enjoying every Sunday night. Thank you for joining us for a conversation on Bleach. Don't worry if you missed this episode or if you missed our last coverage of Bleach. Don't worry, you can find our playlist linked to the description, so you can check out our episodes on Bleach. The first time we covered episode 1, this one we'll cover episode 2 and 3, and we will return in 2 weeks to cover episodes 4 and 5 of Bleach: The 1,000-Year Blood War. We have a lot of thoughts. We're enjoying the show so much. Hopefully, you are enjoying it as well. If you're enjoying Bleach as much as we are, make sure you let us know in the comment section below, or let us know on Twitter. You can find the podcast at Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter. And if you love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, make sure you click on that like button, subscribe, and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any episodes or any uploads on our YouTube channel. We upload every single week, tons of content for you guys to enjoy. And if you want to listen to us on the go, make sure you check our Spotify. On Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can find the Amateur Otaku Podcast. You can find it there and enjoy our coverage there. Isaac, if people were trying to find a mad doctor like yourself, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Twitter, Emblemaniac, written work, Bobam Entertainment.
And I don't know German. And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52. No. And you can find boobs. And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter. And we will see you next time, guys. Have it awesome and keep watching anime. Peace.
Peace.